And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. Excited to get back to Volcano Looming High. You might remember he was the last of the Jagged Earth spirits to be featured on Solo Playthroughs, but he is far from the least. And his playthrough on the channel was also a live playthrough, and that was the night that Eric Royce joined us for about 45 minutes. And I'm still really appreciative for Eric Royce to show up and answer a bunch of questions and be really gracious with his time. It was a very, very cool night for me and the channel. And you can find that interview in the playlist for Spirit Island. If you missed it, here we are tonight with Volcano Looming High against level 5 Sweden, and I've thrown in a scenario. Now, I didn't know what scenario I was going to do, so a little behind the scenes here, I randomized it and I got Guard the Isle's Heart and I walloped Sweden with it. It was just like, I don't know, I got a major power, a minor. I was like, this is way too easy for Volcano, and just totally destroyed it in like 4 rounds. It was a Terra level 1 victory. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I'm like, let me do something a little harder, which makes sense. Now, if you notice the scenarios in the top right, they have the difficulty. That's like the difficulty addition, and is not across the board, right? It just depends. Some spirits and some adversaries are going to match up in a certain way that a scenario could be a lot easier, or it could be a lot harder. And it just, this combination of Volcano and Sweden and Guard the Isle's Heart it was not a challenge. So went to Rituals of Destroying Flame. I got halfway through a playthrough, realized I messed up a big rule early that I could not salvage. So this is take 2 for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't even get it to a point where I could show you take 1. It just is what it is. I should have had a Blight Cascade early. That would have just radically changed the game. So just starting over, and that is totally fine because that means I just get to play more Spirit Island. So Rituals of the Destroying Flame scenario, story time with Greg. The invaders carry some strange immunity to harm. Is it magic of their own? Their disbelief in the spirits as anything other than superstition? Or the patronage of some great spirit unseen and undetected? The spirits have found a way to break that immunity, but it comes with a price. This scenario is notably easier for spirits that generate a lot of energy, good old Keeper, or it's harder for spirits that rely on damage. Now, we rely on damage, but Volcano has some tricks that make him well suited to overcome some of the challenges of this scenario. So Rituals of the Destroying Flame, rules changes, invader immunity. Whenever anything would damage or destroy invaders, you ignore that damage or destructions unless one of 2 things exist. 1, that there was a flame marker within range 1. These are the little flame markers. You'll see that. We'll find out how to get them on the board in a second. Or the spirit using the power or ability pays 2 energy, which is why this is a lot easier if you have a ton of energy just lying around, like Keeper and his deep pockets. It's like, fine, whatever, I don't have a flame marker, bam, 2 energy, done. Now, those rules also apply to damage or destruction that's done by non-spirit powers, non-spirit effects. For instance, Dahan counterattack, events. If that happens, you also need to spend 2 energy for the destruction to be carried out. If you can't, destruction doesn't happen. That does not include when invaders are removed, only destroyed. Additionally, on the left side of this card, you'll see the special rules for Ocean or Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. Not going to worry about those right now. So let's go to the right side of the card. What is the Ritual of the Destroying Flame? Well, each turn after all growth is done, 1 or more spirits may perform the ritual. Each spirit performing the ritual has to forget a power card that grants a fire. Again, this is helpful for Volcano. All of his starting powers have a fire, right? And we're going to get a minor power early. Hopefully that will have a fire, and we can hold on to our starting powers because I kind of like them. All right, so we choose a land where we have presence. I mean, obviously it's going to be a mountain, and then we add a flame marker. We add a blight to that land, destroys presence. Normally, it also cascades, which is what I realized halfway through. Is like, I forgot to cascade. So you do want to try not to be on a board that's going to be putting a blight in the mountain where you're putting your presence. Because I was on board E, and remember, when you're up against Sweden, if there's blight in land 4, it goes to land 5, and that was a huge problem for me that I didn't realize until too late. So after you destroy your presence, you add the blight, it cascades if it needs to, etc. You gain energy equal to the current invader stage. If there are invaders in that land, you do fear equal to the current invader stage, and then 1 damage per Dahan present. Flame markers are permanent. They are not limited in quantity. Dun, dun, dun. Look at that picture. I mean, look at the invaders. Face is terrified at this volcano and the flames, and oh my gosh, that's right, we're breaking through your immunity. You suckers are not gonna last, or maybe you will, and it's just gonna be a thing. No, this is a definitely a solid challenge. I'm excited to try it, and we'll see what happens. I try to do playthroughs that I'm about 50% in a sense, maybe a little bit more than that, but this is definitely not a gimme by any means. So I rolled a 2, going to take that out. We're setting up the invader deck here again. So there are 5 stage 3 cards. We're going to shuffle up these stage 2 cards. We're going to roll the die, number 2, taking that out. And now we just have to put 2 stage 1 cards on top, and I'm going to put 1 aside. That's going to affect one of the stages of setup as per the rules for Sweden. So I rolled a 6, not helpful with 4 cards. I rolled a 2, so that's out. Again, rolling one more die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I rolled a 5. Let's put that card right there. I'm going to roll my D20 to figure out what my Blighted Island card is here. All right. Yoink. I rolled a 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to have 2 blight because the card said so, and then 1 more blight because Eric Royce loves you. That is right. Never forget it, kids. Never forget. That's going to go there. We're going to shuffle up the Fear deck. Fear deck against Sweden is not awful, even at level 5. It is only a 4/4/4. And if you remember when I played against Sweden as the bringer of dreams and nightmares, it was pretty easy to cut through that. So it's a pretty forgiving Fear deck, and that it's a fairly small one. My shuffling method is failing me. Come on, sideways shuffle, work. There you go. So we're gonna have 4 fear cards, 4 more fear cards, 4 more fear cards, and we'll put the rest of these aside. All right, we're gonna put 4 fear cards under the Terror level 3 divider, 4 cards between Terror level 3 and Terror level 2, and then 4 fear cards on top of Terror level 2. Done. We gotta shuffle up the event deck. I'm happy to note this is a new microphone experiment today, and I'm pretty hopeful. I finally put out some money and got a real mic as opposed to the cheap ones I had been trying to cycle through before. But with my Patreon page being where it is, again, thank you to my patrons and those who support this channel in all the ways that you do, but especially my patrons when it comes to me buying this microphone. I do appreciate the opportunity to try to improve things around here and get the audio to match the new and improved video that was recently upgraded not that long ago. So a lot of cool things happening. If you hear a difference, let me know in the comments. It would be really nice to know some feedback here. I'm shuffling out the major powers. I do keep my major powers in blue card sleeves. And then we have the minor powers, which I keep in green. So let me shuffle up these. I always forget like how much setup goes into Spirit Island until I'm doing it. I'm like, there's a lot of ducks, man. Like it's is what it is. Like it happens pretty quick when you know what's going on, but it's like, wait, event deck, minor tower deck, fear deck, major power deck, Blighted Island cards. It's just a lot. Invader deck. Didn't even remember about those, but we will overcome. So we got that. We got that. We're good to go. Just need to roll a die to figure out what land we're on. I'm on board F. No more board E. That was annoying. Board F is gonna be a bit of a challenge. Nope. Federal Blitzing moved off land 4 into land 5. I think should actually work to our advantage. And you shall see why. So we're gonna have 1 presence in a mountain of our choice, and we're gonna put a Badlands there as per the setup rules for Volcano. We're going to put a city in land 2, a city in land 4. The blight that would have been in land 4 is now going to go into land 5. That's going to come from the box. And then we're going to have a town in land 8. I'll go ahead and do this now. We're going to put a town in either land 3 or land 7. Both of them are decent locations for me. I'll go ahead and put this in land 7. I think makes a little bit more sense. So that comes out. We're going to get a disease, put that on land 2. We have a beast. We're going to put that in the lowest number of land that does not have a pre-printed setup icon, which is actually land 7. So it's another reason to put the town there. And we are going to do the Dahan. We have the Sands Dahan. We have 2 in land 1. The Wetlands Dahan, 1 in land 3. The Mountain Dahan is 2 in land 6. Now, had there been Dahan in land 4, because of Volcano's rules, it would have been pushed to an adjacent land. And then we have the Jungle Dahan in land 5. That looks nice. Now, one of the things you do need to be aware of with Sweden is all the different escalations, right? If they put blight on the land, so it doesn't matter how many, they could put 2 blight in the same land, that's fine. You do have to put a town in an adjacent land that does not have towns or cities. If there are no lands that have no towns or cities, it doesn't apply. But if there are lands that don't have any structures, you put a town there. Cascading Blight does not cause that effect. The other thing with Sweden, again, their big thing is that they have fine steel. So their tools and guns are strong. So the towns are doing 3 damage instead of 2. Their cities are doing 5 damage instead of 3. Additionally, if they ever do 6 blight in the same land, it's 2 blight off the card, not just the 1. So a lot of things to kind of factor in with Sweden. I do find the levels for Sweden to be a little bit lower than my play experience with the way I play with most spirits. So according to, again, Eric Royce and the design team, this is only a level 7 difficulty on level 5. I find that lower than I would put it, compared to the other levels that you have in some of the other adversaries. But again, that's not a huge deal. The scenario difficulty increase supposed to be that of a 3. So according to the design team, we're coming in at a level 10 difficulty with this challenge for those who care about those sorts of things. And we have Volcano. Look at that beautiful art. She's amazing, guys. So again, we already put our 1 presence and our Badlands on the board in 4. Now we could choose which mountain we wanted to use. I want to use 4. Why? Well, especially with the rules of the ritual of the destroying flame, if I do that ritual on land 4, well, guess what? Now I'm going to be able to do damage in all 5 of these lands without having to worry about paying any energy. Now 1 and 6 are going to be the biggest problem for me. I could go ahead and maybe do 2 rituals, 1 and 4 and 1 and 6, and then I won't have to worry about doing any more rituals anywhere else on the island, and I will guarantee myself not have to worry about the energy cost of doing damage in lands that are not adjacent to the flame token. However, remember, every time I do the ritual of the destroying flame, it does take a blight off the card. So that is like a big drawback. Or like, I don't know if I want to do that twice. Maybe once will be enough. And maybe I can use cards like Rain of Ash to bring any invaders in these lands closer to me. So then I could, blow them up with explosive eruptions. It's an idea. Maybe that will happen. Maybe it won't. Go for big bops, little bops, all kinds of bops with our boy Volcano here. So this is going to come here. Remembering Volcano special rules can be really huge. Collapse in a blast of lava and steam. Whenever you destroy presence in your land, in that land, do 1 damage per destroyed presence to both invaders and Dahan. And we already have a Badlands there. So if I destroy 1 presence in land 4, that's already doing 2 damage. So this city will probably not be very long for this world. And then the Volcano Peaks Tower over the landscape can also be fairly big. Your power cards gain +1 range if you have 3 or more presence in the origin land. And obviously the origin land for me is always mountain because I cannot put my presence anywhere else. So final step of setup, we're going to do the initial explorer. Initial explorer is into the jungles. We're going to get an explorer in land 5 and an explorer in land 2, which is cool. What do we want to do now, kids? I'm going to try to get a minor power. We're already going into the first growth option, the first turn. We're ready to go. Volcanoing up here, and that's really exciting stuff. So I'm going to put 1 presence on the board from the top track. Now, normally, if I wasn't doing the rituals of the destroying flame, I might do some 2 presents and kind of do some different things, but I want to get a power card, to try to get a power card that gives me a fire so I can do this destroying flame bit right off the bat and try to get going on that. So I'm going to do growth option 3. I'm going to put this on the board in land 4. Again, it's range 4, so I could do it in 4 or in 6. We'll just do it in 4 at this point. I'm going to get 2 energy from the growth track. Now, I'm also going to take 2 energy from the presence track. When you do the ritual destroying flame, you're supposed to do it right after growth before the rest of the spirit phase. So just pretend like I'm not doing this, but otherwise I'm going to forget and I'll be sad. And, no one likes it when I'm sad. So, especially me. So I'm going to get a minor power. Please give me something with a fire. That does not have a fire. That's Mesmerize Tranquility. That has a fire. I love you. So this has a fire earth. Still think I don't want it. I'm probably just taking this as fodder to forget for a ritual. So it doesn't really matter what it says. I took treacherous waterways. It's not going to get in my hand very long, so don't get too excited or too used to it. My growth option is done. I am going to do a ritual. So I am forgetting a power card that has a fire. What happens now? I put a destroying flame marker here, and then I have to add a blight. That blight destroys my presence. It's fine. I have ways of getting destroyed presence back on the board. I am also going to gain energy equal to the current invader stage. So I get 1 more energy, and then I'm going to generate 1 fear because invaders are present, and they're very terrified by that ritual that was just performed in front of them, I would be too. So it makes sense. There would also be 1 damage per Dahan if any Dahan were present. Obviously, that is not a thing we have to worry about. So I can do damage now in lands 3, 2, 5, 8, and 7 or 4 without having to worry about any of the Rituals of the Destroying Flame rules. It's really just 1 and 6 that are an issue. And that means I can do damage, an event card can do damage, a fear card can do damage, the Han can counterattack, all of it. We're all good there. What do I want to do with my power cards? Now I have 1 card play from the track, but I also have +1 card play because of the growth option I chose. So that's actually really nice. I have 5 energy here. Definitely going to want to do lava flows. There's some big ideas for that next turn. Maybe. And Rain of Ash probably also makes some sense. The thing with Rain of Ash, you can't push invaders into lands with your presence. So that actually becomes a little bit tricky. I'll play Rain of Ash because it will give me some options to maybe prevent builds in 7 or 8 next turn. And then I'll have to figure out how I want to deal with 5 next turn as well. My element check, I do have these 2 elements. Remember, why do I have 2 card plays? It comes from the growth option. Someone's like, I see only 1 card play. That's right, but I have 2 because I am awesome. So this goes here, this goes here. So I have 2 and 2. So in theory, I could destroy 2 presence. If I had 2 presence in one land, I don't. I can't even destroy the 1 because, you know, the game would be over and I would lose. And again, don't make Greggy sad. So we're not even going to worry about that. We're talking about explosive eruption, even though the highest level threshold requires 2, 2, and 2. It's 2 fire, 2 earth, and 2 presence destroyed. You can still destroy 1 presence if you want to. Why would you want to? Remember, you still have collapse in a blast of lava and steam. So this innate power allows you the option of always destroying 1 presence in one of your lands to do the damage from collapse in a blast of lava and steam. Remember, 1 damage by destroying 1 presence would become 2 because I had that Badlands there. So you don't even need to get to any of the thresholds to take advantage of that power in some really cool ways. So some things to be aware about. We're going to go to the invader phase, Jagged Earth rules. This just flips over. It doesn't do anything else. And then we're going to go to the invader steps. We're building in land 5. And now we are going to build in land 2. Nope, the disease is going to come off. No builds for you. We go to the explore step. We're exploring into sands. So we get 1 explorer in land 8 and 1 explorer in land 1. Invader cards advance. I am going to use Rain of Ash. I'm going to generate 2 fear because invaders are present in land 8, and let's prevent the building of a city there next turn. And then we're going to do lava flows. I could do 1 damage within 1 away from my presence, or I could add a Badlands and a Wilds. I find that it's often better to just do the Badlands and Wilds option and set up some pretty nice destruction opportunities. So I'm going to do this here, and that will work. Yeah, I should have some cool options next turn. So did my slow powers. These get discarded. Time passes. What am I doing now? I'm going to do the middle growth option. Let's get some more, what is this, presence on the board. I'm going to put that there. So I'm going to have 2 energy from the energy track. And I'm going to have 1 card play. Again, only 1 card play this turn because I did not do growth option 3. And I'm going to play Pyroclastic Bombardment. So let me change these up. Here we go. We also have 1 fire from the card, 1 from the track, 1 earth from the card, 1 earth from the track. So I do have the first threshold of explosive eruption if I do choose to destroy 2 presence, which I probably will. And I do not have any to unlock any of the levels of Powered by the Furnace of Earth. Now, Pyroclastic Bombardment, within 2 of where I have presence, I'm going to do 1 damage to each town, Dahan, and city. I'm going to do the 1 damage to the city, and I can make it 2 because I had the Badlands. Remember, the Badlands trigger once an action, so I'm going to actually have it done on the first instance of damage. So again, this would be 2 health left. Now we have 1 health left. I do 1 more damage. I'm going to destroy that city. All that's legit because, again, it's within range 1 of that flame token. I generate 2 fear. I'm going to get a fear card. And now we're going to do explosive eruption. I'm going to destroy 2 presence. So destroying that 2 presence is going to trigger collapse in a blast of lava and steam. When your presence is destroyed in that land, deal 1 damage per destroyed presence to both invaders and Dahan. So it's 2 damage plus 1 because the Badlands is there. That city's destroyed, 2 fear. And then since I destroyed 2 and I have the 2 fire and the 2 earth in 1 land within range 1, I can do X damage. X is the number of presence I destroyed. I destroyed 2, so I can wipe out that town. That's another fear. That's a second fear card. Now note that even though the invaders are doing extra damage, their health is still normal. So even though the towns are doing 3 damage, hey, they're still only going to need to take 2 damage to be destroyed. Or if there's a Badlands there, only 1 damage will destroy a town. So those are my powers. I think we've done enough for today. We're going to go to the event card. What do we get? Outpaced. Well, it would matter if I had any slow powers in play. I do not. But reading it for those who might not know, humanity has always been faster than you, but the invader's terrifying speed catches you off guard. Each spirit chooses independently for each of their slow power cards played this turn to discard that power card, or I can pay energy to play it now, or destroy 2 of their presence to still play it now. That's just not necessary, and we can just totally skip through this. So then we have the token event, Lingering Plagues. On each board, add a disease. Invaders ignore disease during builds this invader phase. I'll put this disease on land 1. I think that'll be fine. Oh, wait, by the way, when I did Explosive Eruption, I have to do the damage separately to both invaders and Dahan, so I would have also destroyed that Dahan. Not upset about that. Again, the more Dahan I can get off the board, the less I have to worry about the stage 2 escalation for Sweden. So glad I remembered about that. Raids and Force. Each spirit chooses a different land where Dahan outnumbers cities and towns, and each Dahan does 1 damage there. That is not a minimum 1 for cities and towns, so I'm going to choose board 1 and actually wipe that guy out. I'll still leave the disease up there. I still think that makes some sense, understanding that my ability to do things up on that part of the board is going to be a little bit more limited. So this goes away. We now go to our fear cards. So first fear card, we're still on terror level 1. Each player may push 1 Dahan from a land with invaders or gather 1 Dahan into a land with invaders. I will gather this Dahan here. He's going to not survive the ravage, but again, I don't want him to turn into a town because, you know, Sweden. So I gathered that Dahan into that land, and he's just going to chill, Dahan and Heartened. And then we have Immigration Accelerates. Each player removes 1 explorer from a coastal land. There is a wild there, so that will help prevent the escalation anyway. So I'm just going to remove that explorer from there. And I think I said immigration. It's emigration. You know, the other gration stuff. Ravaging. So the invaders are ravaging in land 5. They are only doing 1 damage. Does not enough to do any damage to the land. We're building in land 1, building land 8. There's nothing there to build. We're now exploring into jungles. Perfect. We're going to take this wilds off the board. Prevents the exploration into land 2. We do get another explorer into land 5. We check the stage 2 escalation. There are no Dahan in land 5. So we do not need to worry about that turning into a town. Time passes. What am I going to do now? Well, let's not reclaim cards just yet. I think I want to build up a little bit more. We'll get 2 more power cards this turn and next turn, and then maybe we'll have enough to really kind of wipe out the board the turn after that, just depending on what these invader cards are that come out the next couple of turns. So I'm going to add a presence into land number 4. We're going to gain a power card. I'm going to get 2 energy from the growth track. I'm going to get 2 from the presence track. Now, I understand that I would get +1 card play a turn, so I could take that energy from the top track, but what I want to set myself up for is the ability to play 2 cards next turn as well, when I'm going to be forced to do growth option 1. So it makes more sense to actually uncover that 2 card play spot now instead of, you know, waiting, because then I'm going to be stuck in a place that I don't want to be next turn. So I'm going to gain a minor power. I could think about majors, but I think minor is still going to make a little more sense. I might get a major next turn. We get Blood Draws Predators, so it does have the fire that I like. I would also like an earth, however, and I could actually add a Destroy Presence back on the board. So I think that's going to be important if I can get that. We have Elemental Boon. Target spirit gains 3 elements of their choice. That's pretty strong. Call to Migrate could be interesting. Here there be monsters. I think Elemental Boon is going to make the most sense this turn for a couple of different reasons. So I like that the most. I now have my 2 card plays. I'm going to play Exaltation of Molten Stone and Elemental Boon. I'm going to choose the elements of fire, air, and earth, obviously. So between 1 fire, 2 fire, 3 fire, and 1 earth, 2 or 3 earth, I have not only unlocked the second level of explosive eruption, which I'm not going to be doing this turn, but more importantly, I do have both the top 2 levels of powered by the furnace of the earth, which is a slow power. So that'll be nice. So exaltation of molten stone, target another spirit. Again, the other spirit can be yourself in a solo game. Split 1 energy per fire you have between yourself and target spirit as evenly as possible. Well, myself and the target spirit are one and the same in a true solo game with Volcano. So I'm going to get all the energy myself. I do have 3, so I'm going to get 3 energy because I have 3 fire elements. Done. Plus, I do have +1 range on all my powers this turn. I'm not going to need it, but if I did need it, it'd be nice to have maybe. And then Elemental Boon I've already done, and I took the elements that I said earlier. I'm not going to do anything with Explosive Eruption, and we're going to go over to the Invader phase. So, event card, tight-knit communities. For the rest of this turn, towns and cities have +1 health. Fine. Prey on the Unwary. Each beast destroys 1 explorer. Cool. You're gone. Add 1 beast to a board without 1. We already had 1. And in Coming of Age, in each board, added the Han to a coastal land with the Han. I will add this to land number 1. That's done. I have no fear cards that I've earned. We're doing Ravage actions, nothing there. We're doing a build action. We're going to get a town in land number 5. That will go there. And our Explorer action is to what? Well, it's into coastal lands. So we get an Explorer into 1, Explorer into 2, and an Explorer into 3. The Stage 2 escalation does not trigger on the coastal lands card. It's only on the land type cards. So that's not that bad. We are going to do Powered by the Furnace of the Earth. I'm going to add one of my destroyed presents. I'm going to add that obviously into land number 4. And then I can spend 2 to gain a power card. It's probably better off just saving it. And we'll not worry about that just yet. So we go to growth. I'm going to reclaim my cards, gain 3 energy. I know I'm getting 2 more energy from the presence track. So let me put that out before I forget. And I am going to gain a major power. I think that just makes a lot of sense at this point. So first we have Utter a Curse of Dread and Bone. Doesn't really have my elements. Not going to spend too much time on that. Unrelenting Growth. Target spirit ends 2 of their presence and 1 wilds to a land, 1 away. And that land, add additional wilds, remove a blight if you have 3 and 3. It's got some possibilities for me. Strangling Firevine, 1 away from where you have presence in the sands. Obviously that's not going to work for me. And then finally, we have Infestation of Venomous Spiders, 2 away from where you have a sacred site. You can add a beast, gather a beast, and then for each beast, 1 fear, and invader skip 1 action in target land. If I have 3 animal tags, 2 air tags, and 2 earth tags, after I score the invader skip an action, I can do 4 damage. So these are definitely not the cards of dreams for what I'm looking to do right now. All right, so I realized I messed up the rules because I didn't have a flame marker up there. So when I would have had the Rage and Force card in the event, I would not have been able to destroy that because I would not have had the 2 energy. So that would have built. All right. So we'll kind of go back to show this a little bit. That would have built and that would have advanced before this came out. When that ravaged, that would have been okay. Because then the next turn, I got a bunch of energy. When it said Coming of Age, I would have been able to add the Han to a coastal line with the Huns. I would have added the 3rd thing then anyway. And when it ravaged, it would have done a blight because it would have been ravaging 4. I would have destroyed 2 Dahan. That would have added a town to an adjacent land without towns. Would not have wanted to build a city, although honestly, I build a city there. It's not the worst because I have a Badlands there. So that probably would have made the most sense. So we did that. And then this 1 remaining Dahan would retaliate. That would generate a fear. Then we would have had the builds. That would have built a city. And then we would have explored. We'd have 1 explorer here to go along with the 1 that survived that ravage. And then the rest of the explorers are put on as they are. That changes things a bit. It's the thing with these scenarios. Like, they're cool. It's just in a game that already has so many little rules, it's hard to remember everything else that's going on. Well, now I have to think. This board looked really clean, and now it looks like a mess. A mess. I don't love these majors. I really don't love these majors. The way Volcano's board works out, you're better off having a power card that has a fire and not an earth, and vice versa. Don't love Unrelenting Growth right now. Try to do the same thing with Pyroclastic Bombardment. The problem is I now have 2 explorers on land 5. So even if I destroyed that town, we're looking at a blight cascade out of 5. And again, every time I add a blight, we're adding a town to an adjacent land that doesn't have towns, which in 5 or 2 aren't as bad because I could always put them in 4 and it's going to be really easy for me to take care of them. Oh, and this 2 energy, just to kind of round the loop up, when the Dahan retaliated, I would have spent those 2 energy because again, even the Dahan retaliate was not close to my flame. Ooh, I don't like these cards. 2 card plays this turn, 3 card plays next turn. I'm going to have to skip an action, I think. And it's only blight from ravages that make you add a town to an adjacent land. So that could come into play. I'm going to get rid of elemental boon. I think that makes the most sense here. So I have 2 card plays. I'm going to play Infestation of Venomous Spiders. And I'm going to play Pyroclastic Bombardment. I'm going to figure out if I can do a 6 destruction thing next turn. I think that's the only way I pull this off at this point, actually. The Blight Island card's gonna have to cooperate though, because it looks like I'm Blight cascading here this turn. All right, let me do it this way. I'm gonna add a beast to land number 5, and I can gather with 1 beast. There is no beast to gather. For each beast, I generate 1 fear, and the invaders are skipping 1 action. I'm gonna have them skip a ravage in land number 5. Pyroclastic Bombardment. I'm gonna do 1 damage to each town and city. 1 damage to the Dahan. That's gonna kill the Dahan because of the Badlands. And actually, when they did 1 damage to each town and city, I'm going to apply the Badlands to the invaders too. So just 2 damage to the city. I can do 1 more damage. That's going to destroy the city. That's 2 fear card. So now if I have to add a blight, I'm only adding the 1 blight in land 2, which I think leaves me in a very good spot to do a big bopper next turn and do that 3rd level of explosive eruption. And I can wipe out everything down here. And again, I have a flame marker there, so we won't get back into that silly quagmire I got into the last turn by forgetting about that in Sands. All right, let's see how the event card's gonna mess me up. Because you know it will. It's Terra level 1. During the explore step, invaders explore at +1 distance. I'll put a reminder just in case. Probably won't come up. Very rarely comes up in a true solo game. Especially Grim Toll, and each board choose a land with disease. Oh, that's very nice. Choose a land with disease, and that land do 2 damage to invaders and 2 damage to Dahan. Shoot. Oh man. Then I'm going to be 1 energy short from doing one they wanted to do next turn. Oh, I can do it this way. That's fine. I have other ways of getting a 3rd card play next turn and getting the energy I need. Great. So I'm going to do 2 damage to a land with disease. I'm going to remember this time I have to spend the 2 energy to do that because it's not adjacent to a land with a flame marker, and 2 damage to Dahan, which I don't mind, again, because I don't want to worry about the stage 2 escalation, because again, we will most certainly not be pulling the coastal lands card this turn. Fierce Mean, 1 fear per land with invaders, where Dahan outnumbers cities and towns. That's a total of 0. Fear card, the Terra level 1, each player may push up to 2 explorers from an inland land. Retreat, yeah, it doesn't help at all. I will just leave everything where it is. We're going to ravage. We're ravaging in land 5. Nope, we're skipping that. We're ravaging in land 2. That's going to add a blight. Since we add a blight, we have to add a town to an adjacent land. Thank you, Sweden. So that's going to go into land 4. And our Blighted Island card is Aid from Lesser Spirits, 2 blight per player. That's not going to work. In a true solo game, I have the option to ignore that one. What do we get instead? Memory fades to dust at the start of each invader phase. Each spirit forgets a power or destroys one of their presence, and we have 4 blight per player. I will absolutely take that one and just start forgetting some powers, and that will totally work. I'm going to put a reminder token here. I'm going to put a reminder token here because that is going to have to be triggered before we get to the event. Ravage step is done. We go to the build step. We're going to get a city in land number 2, a town in land number 1. We get the explore step. We're exploring into what? Wetlands. We're going to get 1 explorer into land 4, 1 explorer into land 7. Invader cards advance. Obviously, with the only 2 Dahan on the board being up there, we don't have to worry about the stage 2 escalation. Time passes. Here we go. I have to go to growth option 3 because I all of a sudden need to get more energy. I get 2 energy from the presence track. I gain a power card. I'll gain a minor because I'm kind of broke. Elusive ambushes, purifying flame, savage mob beasts, and disorienting landscapes. This can only target a land with a Dahan. That's not great. Purifying flames probably the best here. So we'll do that. Oh, and time passed. This town healed. Oh, I forgot. In the slow power phase, powered by the furnace of Earth, I could have added one of my destroyed presence. I would have added the destroyed presence here. Oh, shoot. I needed 2 more presents there. All right, so I got Purifying Flame. I'm going to get 3 card plays this turn. I'm going to add from the bottom track, so we get another air. And I'm just realizing now as I'm thinking about this that I'm not going to be able to do a Destroy 6 anyway, because I don't even have the presents I would need. I have all the elements. So biggest concern is land 2. Do I destroy enough presents to wipe out land 2? And I'll clearly not have enough to do a big bopper in lands 3 or 7 next turn. Could skip all actions in 7 next turn, so that will help. I'm clearly going to need more energy, so play Exaltation of Molten Stone. Yeah, we'll play the 4 I planned on playing. And I am broke, but again, I'm going to get some energy back here. If I do an element check, I have 4 fire, 4 earth, and I have 2 air. It does give me the 3rd level of explosive eruption, except I won't have the 6 things to destroy. And it gives me the 3rd level of power by the furnace of earth. Exaltation of Molten Stone is going to give me 4 energy because I have 4 fired. So I'm going to do just level 2 of explosive eruption. I'm destroying 4 of my presents. And destroying 4 of my presents, I'm going to wipe out everything that's in land 4. So that's 1 fear for that. And then going to do 4 damage in an adjacent land. So I'm going to wipe out the city and the town in land 2. Because then at 4 damage, it became 5 damage because of the Badlands. That's 3 fear. That's a fear card. Gets me to Terra level 2. Now, since I did the 2nd level, I'm also going to get 1 fear per presence that I destroyed. So I'm going to get 4 more fear. Gives me a 2nd fear card. So that's helpful. Everything else I have is slow. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to forget Infestation of Venomous Spiders, or do I want to forget Pyroclastic Bombardment, or do I want to forget Exaltation of Molten Stone? That probably makes the most sense. So the beginning of the invader phase, each spirit forgets a power, destroys one of their presence. Definitely don't want to destroy presence. I would lose. So I'm going to forget a power card. We're going to forget Exaltation of Molten Stone. Thank you very much for playing. So it does change my elements thresholds. So I'm not going to have the 3rd level of power by the furnace of earth, but the 3rd level doesn't really mean much to me right now. So I just need the top 2 levels to do what I want to do anyway. Actually, just need really the top level. And now we go to the event card. Blight deepens. Add 1 blight to a land with blight, but do not cascade. Well, that's not amazing for me, but it could be worse. I will add this to land number 5. Spirits may prevent this in any all boards by destroying 1 presence. Obviously can't destroy my last presence. Irregular outbreaks. Ignore disease during builds this invader phase. 1 fear per board with disease. I still have the disease up there. And careful defense. When invaders ravage in a land with the Han, defend 2. Well, don't have to worry about that. Terra level 2. Spreading timidity. Each player chooses a land to isolate. Also defend 2 in those lands. Well, we got a chance to deal with land 3, which makes me happy. So we're going to do a defend 2 in land 3. It's ravaging 5. So still unlikely to help, but you know, the land is also isolated. Yeah, I think I still try to gamble that. I mean, one option would be just to maybe isolate land 1 and see what this is. We know that it's either sands or mountains. So there would be an argument to say, hey, let's just isolate that. But, you know, let's try to get a little bit lucky with defend in land 3. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan attack, 1 damage per Dahan there. I'm not choosing Dahan, stop it. We go to the invader steps. The invaders are ravaging in land 2, only doing 1 damage to the land. They would be doing 2 damage to Dahan, but obviously no Dahan there. We are putting 1 blight into land 3. Since we added the blight in land 3, that means we have to add a town in an adjacent land. Oh, isolate. There are no towns that are adjacent. But you know what? I still think it might just make sense to add this sucker to 4 anyway. We are going to do a build step. We're building in land 3. So that is going to be a city. We're building in land 7. That is also going to be a city. We got some problems there. We're exploring. Where are we exploring? We're exploring into mountains. So we get an explorer here. We get an explorer there. Stage 2 escalation does not apply because I still have 2 Dahan in land 6. Invader cards advance. And now we're going to do lava flows. Oh, man. I'm going to add a Badlands and a Wilds to land 3. And then Rain of Ash. I still only have one presence in land 4, so I can't get Volcanic Peaks tower over the landscape, so I can't push this guy out. Before I forget, powered by the Furnace of Earth, I'm adding 1 destroyed presence into 4. I'm not going to spend 2 to gain a power card. I'm going to get 2 fear. I'm going to target land 3. I'm going to push an explorer and a town out of 3 into 2. We get the growth, so we discard those. What's my growth option? I'm reclaiming my cards. Get 3 energy. I'm going to get 2 energy from the presence track before I forget. We're going to get a power card. Still tempted to get a major, but I know I want to play those 2 cards this turn, so maybe that's not the greatest idea I've ever had. Let me get a major, see what I can pull out here. Maybe there's something I can go. Pretty cool. Indomitable Claim, add 1 presence to target land, even if you normally could not due to land type. Defend 20, that only costs 4. Winds of Rust of Atrophy, very nice. Unleash a Torrent of Self-Essence, won't have a lot of energy here. Insatiable Hunger makes me add a Blight, so that's obviously a non-starter. I will take Indomitable Claim. And then I'm going to forget Purifying Flame. So only 2 card plays this turn. I'm doing Infestation of Venomous Spiders and Pyroclastic Bombardment. It's going to cost me 7, so not a cheap turn by any means. So I do barely have the Sacred Site to make both of these work. Infestation of Venomous Spiders, I'm going to add a Beast into land number 7. Gather a Beast, I cannot. For each beast, do your own fear. So I generate 2 fear. It's 1, 2 fear card. And they're going to skip 2 actions in the target land. So I'm just going to put that. So in case there's a explore action, is the only reason why this would matter. So we'll put reminder tokens on those. I mean, if we do the element check, I would have 3 earth. That's it. I would have level 1 of explosive eruption too, but I'm not going to be doing that this turn. I'll save that for next turn. I think that makes some more sense. So we're just going to ignore Explosive Eruption. Pyroclastic Bombardment. I do 1 damage to each city or town. That's going to become 2 damage because of the Badlands. I do 1 more damage. That's enough to wipe out that city. That's 2 fear. Memory Phase. I had to forget a card. Indomitable Claim. I mean, I just got you. I think I can try to blitz for a Terror level 3 victory next turn. So Indomitable Claim probably doesn't make a lot of sense to hold on to. The other concern is I'm not going to have a ton of energy. I am going to forget Indomitable Claim with Memory Fades. Yeah, I should have gained a minor, not a major, and really thought through the impact of that Blighted Island card. So either way, I'm glad I did not take the Aid from Lesser Spirits. That would have been a problem. So Blighted Island, on each board with 6 or more Blight. Add 1 Blight to a land adjacent to Blight. I lose. Oh, come on. I have exactly 6 Blight on the board. No, I don't. I don't lose. Add 1 Blight to a land adjacent with Blight. This is nuts. Fine, I'll add it to land 8 because why not? It's feeling like a freaking vengeance game. The token event on each board, destroy explorer a town and land with a beast. I'll destroy this town here. That's 1 fear. It's another fear card. And then the Dahan event, keep far from the lands of plague, push 3 Dahan from lands with disease to lands without disease. Does not apply. So I'm really 1 fear card away from Terror level 3, which is nice. So we go to the event cards. Beset by many troubles. In each land with Badlands, Beast, Disease, Wilds, or Strife, or adjacent to 3 or more such tokens, defend 5. It's not going to matter this turn. And then the other thing is Demoralize, defend 2 on all lands. That's awesome, dude. So much defend. And I find that Terror level 2 fear card effects are often like the most disappointing. I'm just like, what? None of this does anything for me. We're going to go to the Invader Steps. We're skipping the action here, so we can skip 1 more action there. And we're doing 1 damage to the land in land 3. Not enough to do anything bad to the land, so don't have to worry about that last Blight on the card just yet. We're going to build in land 6. We're building a city in land 4. Explore step. Well, we're going to skip the Explorer in land 7, so that's going to come off. And we are going to explore in the other wetlands. Nope, there's a wild there, so that comes off. And we're going to explore into 2 jungles. We get a explorer into land 2. We get an explorer into land 5. Invader cards advance. We can add 1 of our destroyed presence. We're going to add it to land 4. And now we go to growth. I am going to do growth option 3. I'm going to add, nope. I don't think that makes sense. Now we're doing growth option 2. I'm just going to have 2 card plays is all I'm going to need. Yeah, this is win this thing this turn. So I put the 2 presence, range 0. I'm going to get 3 energy from the presence track. I'm going to play these 2 cards, make some change. So that and that's going to give me 3 fire, 3 earth, 2 air. That's all I need. I'm going to get the second level of explosive eruption. I'm going to destroy 4 presence. When I destroy 4 presence, that does 5 damage in that land. That's going to wipe out this city and this town. That gives me 3 fear. And then within range 1, I can do 4 damage. Again, X damage. I've destroyed 4 presence. I'm going to wipe out this city and this explore in land 7. That's 2 more fear. That gives me a fear card. We are entire level 3. There are no cities on the board. Booyah! That's right. So we get 4 more fear because of the rest of explosive eruption. So that's a second fear card. And then we would have been absolutely toast in the invader phase, I think, with that ravage, unless we get super lucky here. Each player may choose a land with the Han. Invaders are not ravaged there. Oh, we would have survived. Oh, we would have survived. Look at that. But then we're building a city there, a town there, a town there, a city there. Yeah, that was nuts. So cool. And I think we caught all the rules mistakes before they mattered. So look, a lot of thinking in this one. It's funny how like the littlest thing, I mean, it's like the range 2 instead of the range 1, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I have to spend 2, which means it's going to totally affect what I'm hoping to do next turn, etc. But you see Volcano and just his ability to control a board. The number of blight I added, I think 3 of those were from events. Down here was fine because if it ravaged and caused a blight, I just put the town that had to be built in land 4, and it was really easy to take that out, and kind of helps with the fear generation, get through that fear deck and get to a victory condition. So look at this dude. That is one happy Dahan if I ever saw one. He's so happy. He's like, you win. That's right. That's right. We win. Volcano's a beast. Ritual Destroying Flame. I do like it. You know, I think true solo, like once you get this set up on the board, you're kind of like, all right, I just need to remember that in these 2 lands, anytime anything would destroy it, I need to spend the 2 energies. Definitely a good matchup. Sweden is a hard adversary. The way they mess with the math, I think, is really, really wild. The Badlands super help. I mean, just being able to destroy 2 presence and wipe out a city in an adjacent land is super cool. I really like how Volcano plays with the Badlands. And again, this lava flows. And when I first started playing with Volcano, I was like, oh, that 1 damage is great. You only got to take an explorer off. It's like, no. Get Badlands on the board as much as you can, because the Badlands and Wilds just tend to be a lot more helpful, I find, in the long run over the course of a game, as opposed to just wiping out that 1 explorer. Never really got to use Volcano Peak's tower over the landscape. I kept having to destroy my presence too much to just make sure I survived. Got down to 1 blight, and you know, it was definitely a nail biter in that sense. 1 blight. Fortunate that we were never in a place where we had to destroy our last presence, when I only had 1 presence left on the board. And, you know, that's it. So again, scenarios are great. I don't play them often. I like them as a change of pace, and we'll see if I start coming back around to them. I do want to get another thematic board playthrough on the channel at some point, kind of see how that works out with the spirit who's not as strong as Keeper. There's a lot going on there in a true solo game that makes it super challenging. I do have one more 2 spirit playthrough that I want to get on the channel, and I think that leaves us up to the strength versus strength series. So we got a lot of spirit islands to look forward to. Very, very cool. And actually there are 2 more 2 spirit playthroughs I came across that I just saw. So we might do a few more of those as well, maybe intersperse those into the strength versus strength series, because I know how much people love to play with 2 spirits at once and kind of see some of those synergies, which is cool. Still not my preferred way to play, but enjoy it again as a change of pace. So that's that. Any questions, comments, epiphanies, things I did wrong, and things that you would have done differently, put it all in the comment section below. I appreciate all of the feedback and all of the comments that people make on these videos. It really, really helps. And thank you for, again, the subscriptions and watching these videos and the likes. All of it really, really helps. If you want to see what's coming up in Solo Playthroughs Land, you can go on my Patreon page. I put a schedule up at the beginning of every month, about a week before the month, so you can see what's coming up and make sure you tune in for everything that you want to see in Solo Playthroughs Land. And until next time, whenever that is, happy gaming.